Hey, last time we did a video about this batch of Apeiron bases that I made, and I didn't talk about these two because they have the beta version of my new bridge design. So this is version 2, and in this video I'm just going to put these on the base, and then we're going to do a version 3 that I scrapped some stuff for, and then a version 4, which is actually going to be a few available for sale. So let's jump in. These are two bridges from the last video, the first batch I made, and I swapped out the screws for these sort of silver screws versus the black ones, which I thought looked a little nicer, but that became moot because in the future iterations coming up in this video, I switched back to the black but with a smaller screw. But these do look pretty good. I just wanted to change some parameters around a little bit, and so the last video I made was about a bunch of Apeirons, and I made a 4-string and a 5-string fretted versions of the Apeiron base that both took these bridges. And I didn't show those bases in last week's video because they're here right now, getting their bridges put on. And if you want to hear these bases, I always make audio demos over on my other YouTube channel where I just put up videos of me playing these things. And I include those sound examples along with the listings of the instruments so prospective buyers can hear them. So far it's been strung for 24 hours and it's not showing any sign of movement at all. But you know, that is a problem with some of these types of bridges I've heard. I've never seen it myself personally, but people have said that they sometimes start to sag under pressure on things like bass 6s especially and stuff. And I think it's because, I mean, if you look at it, first off, it's poured metal, not solid metal like this, but if you look at it, it's really a very thin piece of metal that goes all the way across to support it, because all in here, there's just not a lot of material. Before I made the small batch that I have available for sale, and yes, there are some of these for sale, we'll talk about it at the end of the video, I made another attempt with a couple other changes. So I wanted to make a thicker brass post and a smaller screw, and then I had this other idea to avoid, or to change the way the hardware goes into the base that I thought I would try. So that's what these two are, and I'm also experimenting now again with this shaker to see how it works with walnut shell. This one here is one that I just did by hand, and then this is one that I let tumble for a couple hours with the walnut casings in it. And so you see there's a little bit of a different sheen to it, but I'm not sure if it's worth it because I feel like I can still feel a little bit of a burr on the edge of this that I want to buff off anyway, so I feel like even after tumbling it, I'm going to buff it and it's going to look like this. Still on the fence about whether that tumbler is worth it or not. The first time I did these, the toolpath I created to make those little ridges in there went around in a circle, and you could sort of see the witness marks of that. This time I had them go back straight and forth, and of course you can still see the tooling marks a little bit, but I feel like they look better. And then once you start, you know, putting all these. The rest of this went together the same as before, just with different size taps. And then the other thing I was working on was creating a tailpiece for people that don't want to do string-through designs. And that was the other big part of this small batch of parts that I ordered. Let's talk about that. I have this this neck someone gave me that's got a broken truss rod in it. And I have this body that was a mess up when I made one for a client. Yeah, it's way too small for this neck, but I'm going to route a pocket and screw this neck on it anyways, just so I can actually put strings on one of these bridges and put it up under tension. Obviously, I have several bases already made with the bridge. What I really want to test here is that tailpiece. And the first pass at it, I just made a simple flat piece of aluminum with some notches to hold the strings that I thought I would let float. Well, you'll see what happened. Notice the bridge has that little center detent. That's to help with this alignment stuff. It does help. And that's the tailpiece design, also with its center marked with that arrow, and I thought I would just let it float on a couple screws, like sort of like a tailpiece on an arch top or something, but that didn't look good. See how it's like kind of pulling forward? Yuck. So the bridge was originally designed for applications like this with a string through for my Apeiron base, but I was thinking if I were something that I were to offer to people to buy, they might not want to do string through, so it needs some kind of a string retainer, and it could be used on other style bases. So I've come up with this, which I've decided, you know, just it needs a little more work. I like the simplicity and the look of it, and I think it's like, you know, something that always kind of annoyed me with other hardware is like there's no reference to the center, so I was like really working hard to make it easy to center all this stuff up. But yeah, so this needs another piece. No big deal. I can solve that. And then the other big differences are I'm using a slightly larger brass post which gives us a little bit easier time setting the strings in and getting them sort of sunken in if we want to. And a slightly smaller screw here just to kind of keep the top looking a little bit cleaner. But the biggest change that I wanted to try was I wanted to get away from using these, you know, made in overseas, typical sort of, you know, Tune-o-matic style things. And so I went into the hardware world and I found this screw that has a washer, you know, built into it. It's just a regular 1/4-20 bolt that I could put into this. And so I thought this is the way I could use regular real steel, you know, hardware made in America. And I've done that and it works fine, but I don't know, I don't dig the look of it. I feel like it doesn't sit quite as well as something with a smaller hole on this larger plate. So it's like I can move it around a little bit. So I think the next iteration might be to go back to just using these and just settle for buying these somewhere, unless I can find a better piece of hardware. Definitely keeping the larger brass, you know, see if I can make this tailpiece a little bit better. And that's pretty much it, you know. I'm pretty pleased with it so far. Oh, and the other thing too, of course, is, you know, we're testing, like I put this one up really nice and high so we can see if there's going to be any sagging issues, which I don't anticipate because all the science, you know, and the stats on this metal that I'm using says it shouldn't be an issue. And that's exactly what I did. And another big step that had been missing in my process that was now going to help me get a better looking finish was I just totally forgot. I was cutting metal. I should be using a lubricant of some sort. So now with lubricant sprayed on this before I cut it, I was getting an even nicer looking, more finished tool path. And then of course, while I'm tapping, I'm using a little oil and water mixed together there as well to help make that go a little easier and fewer broken taps. You know, my background is in art and music, and so a lot of times when I'm coming at stuff like this, I'm coming at it from an art and music side, and I forget to turn on my machinist brain, and then I had to figure that out a little bit late. Okay, here's the part of my video where I usually say I don't do commercials, but it's a commercial, so bear with me. I get emails all the time from companies that want to buy space in my videos. They want to buy words out of my mouth to talk about their products, and I just don't write back to them. But every once in a while, I get one of those types of emails, and it's for a tool or a product that I actually kind of want to try. And so to them, I write back and say, you can send it to me, and if I like it, I will share it in a video, and I will tell people about it. And if I don't like it, I just won't mention it at all. No harm, no foul. I'm not going to say anything bad about you, but I will not get paid to do it, and I will not take a percentage of sales or any of that stuff. And so when I write all that, of course, nobody ever writes back to me. But this company did. And so that's why I'm talking about it right now. This is X Laser Labs laser welder. So I knew that this project I had going, that there was going to be some laser welding things that I needed to do, and the timing was just serendipitous. They said, hey, would you try that? I gave them my whole spiel, and so here I am telling you that I actually really like this machine, and I'm going to show you a little bit about it in this following sort of sequence. So they're not paying me to say that, and I'm not making a percentage of sales, and I can't speak to the longevity of the tool or the integrity of the company or anything. I can just tell you that they sent me this machine, and I like it. And I'm going to show you a little bit about how I'm using it now. I don't know anything about it yet, but I have a feeling that this thing is going to appear in future videos, and I will hopefully get better with it because I've had all these dreams about doing these like TIG welding type projects of guitars, like metal guitars and stuff, and I've done some in the past, and I am a terrible TIG welder, and this laser welder really eliminates the skill needed to TIG weld, and I have a feeling I can actually do what I want to do with this tool, which is super exciting for me. So you'll certainly be seeing more about that in future videos, and I won't be getting paid to tell you, just like I'm not getting paid to tell you about it now, but they did give it to me for free, so that's my full disclosure. And anyways, let's get back into the bridges. I'm going to try and save you a little bit of work. Setting up this laser welder, I wanted to run my argon gas can that I would use for TIG welding, which just uses this regular 3/8 inch brass thing, but the laser welder requires like this sort of like snake bite style plastic tube that connects into it right there. And so this is the adapter I found that worked. It was $8. It's 3/8 inch to 1/4 inch outer diameter, and there's just a little underneath all this is like a little nipple that slid onto, and that's what you're gonna need. I settled in figuring there'd be like an hours long learning curve to figure out how to laser weld, and so I just grabbed some of my scrap broken bridges and started sticking them together. This was the first one, the very first time I tried to use it, and it went perfectly. And I was like, oh wow, this is gonna be way easier than I thought. I mean, like obviously I need to learn how to do it, but that actually doesn't even look that bad. Now what I'm curious about is if I hit it on the sander and clean that up, what it starts to look like. The laser welder comes with a MIG style spool for like sending in filler material, but I wanted to just stick it together without any and see what would happen. This is really interesting. This is my first attempt at using this laser welder, and you can see that, I mean, I did a horrible job, but like I just like cut away all of that surface material on the sander, and it's still stuck together, you know? That's what I want to do, and you can see that seam. I could almost make that disappear, you know, with a little practice, so. After a little more experimenting, I decided I just needed 2 little tack welds hidden underneath on the inside of the bridge, and I didn't actually need to do that whole seam because there's a screw going through both pieces anyways that'll keep them together, and heck, I could use them without them being welded together at all. I just wanted to make it one solid piece. And so by just doing that, I got the 2 pieces connected enough to where I could just clean them up on the sander and put them out as is. So this is just with those 2 little welds on the inside, and you can see grinding it down, the seam really disappears. And you know, the structure's there. Alright, so now we'll use my test base here. I did a couple different passes at material thickness for these parts to try them out, and I used one of the ones that I knew I didn't want to sell on this base. It's a little bit thicker. I do feel like there's a little bit more room for improvement to get a little bit more back pressure. This one's actually a little bit higher than the other ones. This is one of the earlier prototypes, so I do have the balls getting closer to the strings, but there is, on this particular base, there's plenty of back pressure there. That's how high the neck is out of the pocket. So the bridge is up kind of high. I do think that it would probably be okay on, you know, another base or whatever. But I would like to see if I can still find a way to just get that a little bit more back pressure there and get those down a little bit lower. So that's where this is at right now. I think that I could use, this is 1/8 inch on the top. I don't think I need a piece of aluminum this thick on the top. I do need this 1/4 inch thick height on the bottom for room for the ball ends, unless you start talking about, like, you know, cutting into your base, which is what we're trying to avoid. Just make this purely top mount. So if we lower the thickness of this top piece a little bit, that'd help. And I think that might be the next thing to try. You know, I'm curious to hear your thoughts too. These are the parts that I use on my Apeiron base for the string through design, and so what I'm going to do for now with this first batch is include one of these mounting plates, and so you could use this if you wanted, or you could use, you know, like ferrules, like more typical, but these are a pretty simple shape to route in. You could even, you know, if you wanted to recess it, you don't even have to recess it if you don't want to. So that seems like a good option for now. I was thinking about making one that was more shaped like this, but it'd be a little bit harder to route in the back. That point, you know. I decided to make my own packaging for this as well to really just give it a professional look, and so I'm making these simple boxes on my laser cutter, stamping them made in USA, and then I made a cardboard cutout that all the pieces fit in together. You know, bringing that iPhone experience at least a little bit to this. I just made a very small batch of 4-string 19mm and 5-string 18mm, some with the tailpiece and some for string through design. And that's where this bridge project is at right now. This video has taken place over the course of several weeks. I know it's tough to tell with the editing, but so this bridge, these bridges have been under tension for weeks and weeks now, and there's no sign at all of any movement. So not that I thought there would be. And as you can see here, I'm going to finish boxing up some, and these are going to be out for sale at newperspectivesmusic.com. I have a limited supply of them, some 5-strings, some 4-strings, some with tailpieces, without tailpieces, and I'm going to mark them pretty low price right now, just to sort of get the ball rolling, get them out there, get them in use, as I continue to just sort of fine-tune and tweak some of the fit and finish things on it before I really do like a bigger launch. So right now it's just us talking about them, and if you're building a base or something, you know, now's your chance. But so I've got several bases for sale with these bridges already, and they're all working fine, but what I haven't done yet is made a full complete base with the tailpiece, just that test base. So that's next. I'm gonna make one of those now. Spoiler alert, it's almost done. All right, see you soon.